say that someone else is making you mad is to relinquish your own free will. Someone can't make me mad unless I give them permission. In other words, if I can't forgive them or their unfavorable opinions and behaviors, that's actually my own problem if you think about it. I can't force someone to see the world the way I do because I've literally seen the world through an entirely different perspective. It doesn't even make sense to try and force them to align their views with experience they didn't have. I don't know what their surroundings were like growing up. I don't know what they've been through. I've been looking around, and it seems that a lot of people want to be mad and stay mad. Listen, I'm speaking from experience. I've been on both sides of this, and it's important to talk about. I certainly wanted to be mad. My life was a mess, and I wanted it to be someone else's fault entirely. I wouldn't admit it at the time, but blame is the easy way out. People want to blame others for their own problems so that they don't have to adjust their own behavior. Adam blames Eve and it blows up in his face. Everyone loves the hero, but it's a lot easier to watch one in a movie than to practice courage and honesty in real life. Let's be honest, guys. We're overwhelmed by content that encourages gossip, drama, and blame. It's overwhelming these days considering social media and the videos they're feeding us. But does it work? No. As society burns in the flames of blame, gossip, and drama, be a fire extinguisher. I promise it will work to take that angle and maintain that attitude. Pay attention to people and what results their behavior is producing. There are, sadly, a lot of examples. Enough so that society is actually changing very quickly. What we consider acceptable behavior is changing. Public freakouts are so common that they're hardly a novelty online. I don't want to be tempted to judge these random strangers, whether newscasters, politicians, protesters, or whatever. No matter how corrupt or wrong I think they are, they don't have permission to ruin my day. You can model that mentality. The people around you need it, and they are attracted to it, I promise. I talk to a lot of people about a lot of things, and this conversation's inevitable as it is unpredictable. So men seem to be under the impression that sexual tension should not build up. I've seriously heard this from all sides my whole life, going back to high school health class. This is not the case, and in fact, much the opposite is true. Sexual tension should build up. I've always said that if James Bond were real, he wouldn't be going to the hub. But in the real world, it's well known and documented that professional fighters, musicians, and hyper-competent people of all kinds save up sexual energy for use elsewhere. People deny it because they don't want it to be true. I get it. I've played that bogus game myself, and it doesn't work. It's called a bitter pill. Listen, our habits affect our energy and intuition whether we like it or not. Naysayers, has life been so convenient an experience that you could will to disagree? Or is that the sweet song of denial you were tempted to sing? If you're alone or your wife's not in the mood or whatever you've got going on, cheap sexual fantasy is not life's way of letting you off the hook. It's putting you on a hook. Fantasy is a mockery of your desires. It screws up our brain chemistry if we choose it.
Brain chemistry.
It's okay if you didn't know any of this before. Don't be ashamed of that. Just be receptive and open-minded toward this message. Just begin developing the courage to change. What's important is that each of us choose to grow and understand how this actually plays out in reality. Yes, porn will interfere with your ability to find and keep a girlfriend if you choose it. Yes, porn will slowly rip apart your relationship if you continue to choose it. Yes, you will encounter an onslaught of opinions and lies trying to convince you otherwise. Yes, people have tremendous incentive to protect and defend this habit. It's called deep denial. It's called industry. It's called ideology. It's called addiction, which often escalates into dependency. Yes, porn affects your paralingual communication, including eye contact, if you choose it. Yes, porn paves the way for social withdrawal, confusion, and isolation. Yes, you will observe profound changes and benefits if you practice retention. Yes, porn cravings, confusion, and consequence get far worse as time goes on, if we continue to choose it. Obviously, it lulls you in with a honeymoon phase for perhaps many years, during which it might not even feel wrong. It's sneaky and pervasive, just like any other drug. It's undeniably a mood-altering substance. But understand that using porn will make you biologically adapted for it. We are products of our environment, and so we must choose our environments carefully. Engaging a pornographic fantasy is an immense falsehood, a profound affirmation, and a deadly habit. Don't try to moderate it. You can kick it. Listen, this is a lot bigger deal than it seems. In dealing with brutal habits, we should utilize the most powerful systems of habit formation at our disposal. That means religion, 12-step recovery, or both. You don't have to be afraid of the conversation. Shine a light on it with courage, tact, and dignity. Talking about it shouldn't be shameful, but falling back into it... We've got a lot of substantial things to talk about, guys. The more quality information you encounter, the better you will know how to deal with the world and with your life. It's getting more difficult to know what's real. Let's be honest. It was hard enough to know what was true and what was reality before the rise of AI. Our problems are obviously getting worse fast, so let's get honest wherever we can. Think about this. People spew out ideas and affect each other's worldviews. This is normal. This is just human conversation. Our brains know what to do with it. But there are a lot of people saying a lot of things, and people are angrier than ever. We're already overwhelmed by discussion about food, politics, senseless drama, entertainment, romantic relationships, addiction, and educational pursuits. Each conversation is generating a potential endless waterfall of new problems, solutions, distractions, and controversies of all kinds. And now we're adding artificially generated content to the mix. Let's ignore the fact that it's going to displace jobs in all fields for a moment and just look at our loosening grip on reality itself. Seriously, just look at the last 10 years and what has changed before AI content and chatbots really becoming normal. Things have been nuts no matter which way you cut it, no matter what side you're on. The 2020s have been volatile, and we're only halfway through at the time of recording. I think it's essential to examine our own behavior and the habits we're forming, because 1, the only person whose behavior I can control is my own, and 2, because our problems are getting a lot more complicated fast. Part of the problem is that we've been overwhelmed by fast-paced entertainment and instant gratification, so we've become conditioned to expect reality to operate in the same way. But it doesn't, which then frustrates us horribly. Gratification for a balanced human being is a lot slower paced than people seem to be aware. It's not sustainable to try and force joy and excitement all the time. So our habits and expectations have been totally bent out of shape already, and AI is just getting started. The thing that's going to blow us out of the water is artificial companionship and fantasy. If I'm having a conversation with AI, then I'm receiving artificial context and thus losing reality. People don't seem to know that their thoughts, aim, and focus determine their entire outlook on the world around them. But think about it. You've heard people say that you are what you eat. You're a product of your environment. If your environment is full of artificial, then you will become acclimated and adapted to artificial conversation, companionship, and whatever other substantial component of being has been synthesized by technology. You'll become biologically best suited to sit on your butt with a VR headset. Think about it. What is a fantasy? Why do people watch adult videos? They seem harmless, but it's conditioning. It's a kind of brainwashing. Our fantasies stand in the way of our dreams. Yes, fantasies waste time, but they also provide the unconscious with artificial false context. A game or movie can make us feel like we've done something heroic, and a spicy fantasy can make us feel as though we've successfully procreated. These are the lies we are perpetually telling ourselves in this society. And while there is a time and place for imagination and recreation, we've got to get courageous and intentional about habit formation. The answer to your AI problem is to avoid bogus fantasy and double down on the real world. Don't be afraid to talk to anyone, and don't take what they say personally. The skill of forthright communication will win you real friends and real opportunities, but that means commitment to telling the truth. You can't serve people with lies. I promise this will work. It just takes time and courage. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's just character development. This has been a triple pack of videos brought to you by my new channel, Videoz Fast. But don't worry, this channel isn't going anywhere. I'm just trying something new to have fast, concise conversations without quite so much art and editing. Please subscribe here if you like what you've seen.